You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. Okay. I'm going to warn you that this is going to sound insane. All right? Fair warning. Muse, I just told you in the hall what I'm leading with.
Yes.
Scale of 1 to 10, how crazy is what I just told you?
I'd give it at least an 8.
At least an 8?
At least an 8. Well, because then we started talking about it more, and we were like, well, actually, you know.
But given the feeling you had before I told you that.
When you walked up and said what you said, I was like, excuse me. So, yeah, on that regard, 10.
Okay. LSU lost on Saturday to Alabama. We've litigated it. We've talked about the future of the program, all that stuff. Okay. We've spoken our piece. All my opinions are there. YouTube, podcast, you can find it everywhere. And now with your third loss, the opportunity to make the college football playoff as an at-large is gone. Right? We all understand that. You're not getting in as an at-large. The only way for LSU to make the college football playoff at this point would be to win the SEC. And in your mind, you're thinking, yeah, well, that's not going to happen anymore. You just lost to Bama and tiebreakers and head-to-head and all this sort of stuff. And so you just shoo it away. So I'm sitting at my desk a bit ago, and I was like, all right, let me do a segment today on the show of what would have to happen. Like, if you're an LSU fan and you're watching football the next 3 weeks, what are you cheering for that could get LSU to Atlanta? Because remember, if you go to Atlanta, I know, by the way, I know this sounds crazy. I know you're like rolling your eyes, Mac. You know, like, I promise, I know it sounds crazy, but that's why I asked Muse to start it that way. Because it's as crazy as it sounds that I'm even talking about LSU in the playoff, what I'm about to tell you is going to floor you. Okay, so please be patient and let me set this up. So the only way into the playoff for LSU now is to win the SEC. The top 4 conference champions, no matter where you're ranked, the top 4 conference champions are seeded 1 through 4 and get a bye. So LSU could be ranked 15th, but if you win the SEC, you're a top 4 seed and you get a bye. Make sense? Like, Notre Dame can never be seeded higher than 5. Notre Dame could be undefeated and ranked number 1 in the country, but because they don't play in a conference, they can never be a top 4 seed. The highest they can ever be is 5. Make sense? Okay. So I'm putting pen to paper going, what is it going to take? Like, what would it take? What do you have to cheer for over the next 3 weeks for LSU to get in? And here's the path. Number 1, LSU's got to win out. Okay? You can't lose again. You got to finish 6-2 in the SEC. You lost to A&M. You lost to Bama. And look at what you have ahead. You're at Florida, where you're a favorite. You're home against Vanderbilt, where you're going to be a favorite. And you're home against Oklahoma, where you're going to be a favorite. So you're favored in your final 3, but you got to win them. Far from a guarantee right now. Leaky defense, turnover-prone quarterback. I'm not saying it's going to happen. What I'm saying is you're favored. You need to win the next 3. Number 2, you need Georgia to beat Tennessee this weekend. Give me a line on that game, please. You need Georgia to beat Tennessee. That game's in Athens. Tennessee currently has 1 loss. So if you have multiple 1-loss SEC teams, they go play for the conference championship. Like, you're out. So Texas A&M has 1 loss. Tennessee has 1 loss. Who's the other 1-loss team I'm missing?
Texas A&M?
Texas has 1 loss. No, I said Texas A&M. So Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Texas. But Texas and Texas A&M are going to play each other. So you need Tennessee to lose. What's the line?
The line on that is Georgia 10.
Georgia 10.
Georgia 10.
Georgia 10?
Georgia 10.
Okay. So if Georgia, by the way, they don't need to cover the spread. They just have to win. Georgia, as a 10-point favorite, needs to win at home against Tennessee. LSU needs to win out. Do you know the only other thing that needs to happen? Arkansas needs to beat either Texas, not likely, or Missouri. If that happens, LSU at 6-2 goes to the SEC championship game to play the loser of Texas A&M. Are you floored? Muse, I just said it out loud again. How you feeling now hearing me spell it out for you?
Feel good. Feel good about it.
I mean, I know. I'll explain. So the SEC tiebreakers, as you go through them, you would get down to the fourth tiebreaker. The first one is head-to-head competition among the tied teams. Well, we're talking some combination of LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss, Bama, Tennessee, Missouri, Texas A&M, or Texas. Right under the scenario I just laid out, let's say hypothetical, Arkansas beats Missouri, so Missouri's out. So it's LSU, Georgia, Ole Miss, Bama, Tennessee, and then the loser of Texas A&M. That would be 6 teams at 6-2. Okay? Head-to-head competition among the tied teams. Well, they didn't all play each other, so there isn't a head-to-head that goes. The second is the record versus common opponents among the tied teams. You'd go past that one because you don't have a common opponent among all those. The third is record against the highest or best place conference opponent in the conference standings, proceeding through the conference standings among the tied teams. You don't have that common opponent, right? So it would go to the fourth tiebreaker, which is the cumulative conference winning percentage of all conference opponents among the tied teams. Meaning, you would look at the 8 SEC games that LSU played, that Georgia, Ole Miss, Bama, all of them. The 8 games they played, get the total win-loss record, and look at that winning percentage. Right now, the cumulative winning percentage of LSU's conference opponents, they're 26-24 for a winning percentage of .520. Follow me? The next closest right now is Georgia at .437. A&M's at .434. Ole Miss is at .431. Missouri's at .428. Texas is at .430. Tennessee's at .380. So you're so far ahead, none of those teams can catch you. The one caveat that I mentioned is Alabama. As of today, LSU and Alabama have identical .520 opponents' conference winning percentages. LSU's opponents are 26-24. Bama's are 25-23 for an identical .520. So, if Arkansas, who LSU played and Bama did not, beats either Texas or Missouri, both of whom Bama did play, LSU would pass Bama for opponents' cumulative conference winning percentage. And LSU at 6-2 would go to the SEC championship game to play the loser of Texas A&M. What? You're looking at me with a...
The winner of Texas.
The winner. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, okay, the winner.
The winner of Texas A&M. Who would be at 7-1. Would be the only one-loss team in the league. I keep looking at it, and I'm like, there's no way that's true. There's no way that's true. There's no way that would happen. Like, how it got to... And I know what people are saying, but what about head-to-head? You bypass head-to-head. Because and you can say, well, Bama beat LSU. Yes, but LSU beat Ole Miss. And Ole Miss beat Georgia. And if this scenario, Georgia would have beaten Tennessee, but Tennessee beat Bama. And so, like, the head-to-head doesn't work because you just have this round robin. So you keep going down to the cumulative conference winning percentage, which is the fourth tiebreaker, and LSU would win it. And you want to know why they'd win it? Because for the first time in forever, LSU didn't play Mississippi State or Auburn, who are two of the worst teams in the league. And because those two teams, and like, for example, Georgia played Kentucky and Auburn. It's dragging them down. I think Georgia played Mississippi State too, didn't they? They played. Yeah,
they did.
Yeah, Georgia played Mississippi State.
They played all three of them.
So that's what Georgia is dragged down by that. So even though Georgia played Texas and Ole Miss, and they're going to play Tennessee. The bottom of their schedule is ultimately what's going to drag them down. And the same thing with Alabama. I'll be damned. I would love to live in a world. I mean, love to live in a world where LSU and Alabama are both 6-2. And LSU wins a tiebreaker and goes to Atlanta, wins the SEC championship, and Alabama doesn't. I would love to live in that world. I would love to bathe in the afterglow of that world. Because you know what would happen as well is other teams that got bumped out of the playoff would get the at-large spot. Like LSU would basically be a bid stealer. Oh, God. I am the biggest Georgia Bulldog fan in the world. If you're an LSU fan, you got to cheer for Georgia. You got to cheer for the teams you've played. But mostly you got Georgia has to beat Tennessee. And look, I would just love it if Bama went and face planted and lost to Oklahoma or to Auburn. Like, that's another way to make this real easy. Because all you would need then is for Georgia to beat Tennessee. Well, then you got to win out. But y'all, the path? I'm not telling you it's super likely, but it's way more possible than any of us thought, any of you thought 14 minutes ago. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.